Welcome, everybody, to the premiere episode of the Susie and Sparkle Show. Susie is a activist, social justice activist, and I think I'll let Susie tell a little bit more about herself.
Hello, Sparkle, and welcome guests. So what am I? I'm a 64-year-old retired social worker. Basically, my professional work was in disability, and I was a disability examiner for a long, long time. So I know everything about disability that you'd ever want to know or not. So as a retired social worker, the way that I'm known in my neighborhood is I kind of talk to people about trees, whether they want to know or not. And so it's like as a retired social worker, I get in trouble a lot. So I I'm trying to learn how to transition from that into just being a nicer neighbor. But I have learned a lot about trees. So yeah. So I'm into disability rights and trees.
Wonderful. And we have a special audience member that we're going to introduce. Michelle, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, I'm Michelle. Lovely to meet all of you. I am a Texas living person who is starting a new project called Project Her Story, where I'm going to be interviewing women in the state of Texas and talking to them about issues that they're facing. More specifically, I really want to focus on the LGBT community and people of faith and sort of the people who are fighting specifically for the trans community and doing all of that they can to try and save as many lives as possible while the administration and the Texan government try to do everything they can to hurt the trans community. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you, Michelle. And Morgan, I'm going to save you for last because you're our star. I am Governor Sparkle. I've been going by the name Governor Sparkle, even though it still hasn't happened yet. But 2027, we'll be all used to using that term. I am still a licensed attorney. I am also trans. I am also a performer to some extent. In fact, I will be performing Amazing on August 11th. Anyone who has an opportunity, along with 4 other 65-year plus LGBTQ people, and we will be at the Austin Public Library. And now our special guest, Morgan Davis. Da, 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 da. Morgan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. I'm just so excited to see you and to meet you all, Susie and Michelle. My name is Morgan Davis. I am an activist and I came by it a little bit differently. I came up through the 90s, through the AIDS epidemic and through marriage equality, and sort of took, foot off the gas. I thought we were done. And then I'm a little late to the party. I started transitioning when I was 53. And a year later, I was an investigator for Child Protective Services, and the first case that was filed when Governor Abbott sent his letter asking that parents be investigated for gender affirming care came to me. And I always say I walked in an investigator and I walked out an activist again. And then after that, I was told, well, yeah, I didn't know what to do. What do we do? How do we help? My unit and myself resigned in protest, and then just started protesting outside of DPS. But that's how I get to meet all these amazing people and get to do all the to do the work that inspires me, and to work with people like yourselves who give me hope.
Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you. Thank you, Morgan. We really appreciate you being here. We're just going to kind of alternate asking you questions. We have so many things we want to know about, but I'll let Susie ask the first question.
Well, thanks, Sparkle. Well, you said that you and your unit resigned. How many people were in your unit?
You know what's amazing? In my unit, it was a smaller unit. There were 5 of us, but by the end when I left, when I resigned, about 50% of Travis County had left. At that time, the cases were exploding. It was right at the tail end of the pandemic. The cases were exploding. And so to have the governor to have added that horrifically, because it was wrong, but also it was asking us to investigate families we knew to be safe. The state of Texas was using that care successfully. And so by that time, although there were 5 people in my unit, 50% of the Travis County, had left. And if not in protest specifically for this, just in frustration, and so it was devastating.
I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. That's something I wasn't aware of it, and I'm not surprised that that news wasn't front page. That you said so 50% of the child investigators left?
In total of CPS,
Wow.
in total, there was many different units. We have investigations and then family plan. All of the had just. I think that there was the feeling that something bad was going to happen, and that there was nothing we could do to stop it.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the biggest things when I came forward, and what we had was our story, and said talk to anybody and everybody that will listen, because nobody really believed us that it was happening, or that it was, golly, when I was doing it, I was told this is a political stunt. It'll never go anywhere. And we had a case in 24 hours. And so it became something else. And then ironically, it wasn't even a law until 2 years later. This was a directive. It wasn't even an order. And we were going into families' homes. The story is a couple local stations had picked it up, and a few things. What really saved us was out of state papers, and out of state, had Australia, and one was Washington, and so people were listening outside of the state.
Mm-hmm.
So that sort of gave us hope.
That's
Morgan,
good to know. Thank you.
Morgan, thanks, Morgan. One of the things that frustrates me is I also worked in Child Protective Services as an attorney for 28 and a half years. And one of the things we're taught in Child Protective Services is that we listen to the children, and that we pay attention to what the children are telling us.
Yes.
And yet, wasn't it very frustrating for you unit to suddenly turn around basic principles on their ear?
Oh, Sparkle, it was, or Governor Sparkle, excuse me. It was, that was the most difficult part. When I was told going into the home, said, if you can prove that there is no harm, we're closing it that night. And we knew that there wasn't. Horrifically, a piece of the case that came out later, that the first family investigated was an employee of the department. So I was told that night when I was called for the case, I was told, this is a coworker. And they had sent a 1-sentence email to their supervisor and said, my child is receiving gender affirming care. I may need to resign. They were told to hold on. That person then talked to their supervisor, who then said, you're now a mandated reporter. It was tragedy throughout. I mean, it was just tragic. And that's what I don't think that, they put these horrific things into motion and don't realize the devastating effect. I love what you just said. Our entire credo is, for a child, I need to get you from point A to point B. Point B is where you're thriving, not from what I think you're thriving, where you are thriving. And you well know that as an attorney, as you've spoken, from point A to point B, as you see it, not as I see it, because I just got to get you there. I've got to get you there.
And of course, after the legislature passed the bill making it impossible to give young people gender affirming care, so many people have left the state, which is tragic in so many ways.
Oh,
I mean,
so
you have children being separated from grandparents. You have children being separated from their best friends. And oftentimes, for any child, the best friend is so important to them.
Especially in our community. Yes, yes, and yes. In our community, our friends are our family. They're our chosen family, and they are everything. Are the parental support. I spoke to someone just today who said, they are a 5th generation Texan, and said, I am not leaving. But their child is out of state. They're in college, but they've gone out of state. And so we're losing these incredible people, and for no other reason than someone's cruelty. There is no evidence. There is no, except manufactured. It's just letting a child be a child. One of the pieces that you well know is evidence. There's not a single surgery that has been performed on a minor, not a single one. There's not a single athlete competing in the state of Texas, not one. And so our problems are so much bigger. And we're not tackling those because they've horrifically made up scenario. I've never wrapped my head around it. In that, as you well know, Governor Sparkle, in CPS, we have serious problems. We have desperately serious problems and desperately serious needs, and we need serious people to tackle them. I don't have time for fantasy. I don't have time for made up problems. There's enough real ones. And that's with a desperate message we were trying to get across. Whereas even right now, in a special session that's being called on the 21st of July, they are putting in place the bathroom bill. Again, they're bringing it up. Horrifically, this time adding criminal charges or government, or it makes no sense. We just had an insanely tragic event happen over the 4th of July weekend. Yeah. Our entire 28 children, sorry. So the focus should be on the lives that we can save. And it's just insanity to me that this would even come up. We have such bigger problems. Forgive me for.
No, I think we all appreciate your passion and your commitment to children. One of the things that bothers me about the bathroom bill is not only does it affect those of us who are trans, but it's going to affect cisgender people as well.
Governor, exactly. And also horrifically, how will it be implemented? How will it be enforced? This is just ripe. And as you, that's why it's never about our community. As you all know, 99.99% of people will never know that they have shared a bathroom with a trans person. Right. The goal is to go into the bathroom, use the facilities as they are intended, and exit. That's it. It's not to police. It's not to target. We are not what you're looking for. Yes, but wouldn't it be amazing? The colleague, is this true? Somebody was saying that it costs almost $1 million from an implementation of a bill till it's heard, until $1 million to get it through. They filed over 140, I want to say 197, excuse me, bad bills, $197 million. What we could have done with that. And they talked about the implementation of the safety system for the floods. 10 million would have given a warning system. And they chose to do this, a problem that never existed. It's made up. And the worst, horrifically, they know it. They absolutely know it. When you're in the Capitol, you can tell this is a political football. And when we confront them with facts, they have to double down, which is wouldn't it be amazing if we go into the Capitol and work on real problems?
Yeah. So
that's what we're trying to do.
This is House Bill 32, right? And that was the bathroom bill introduced by State Rep Valerie Swanson. And if I remember right, it was like introduced, I think, in February. So it takes all of these months. I was wondering, why does it take $1 million? Well, if it was introduced, it took how many months to go through all these different committees, et cetera, et cetera. But, as a Jewish person, we're very, I think a lot of Jews are brought up with, the knowledge of the history of the Holocaust, and then always the need to have a scapegoat. Right?
Yes.
And
yes,
it occurs it seems to occur in every society, in every class state, in every situation. In so many groups. And it's like, so what is we could go for it. We could delve, we could take a long time delving into what is this.
Yes.
There's like the societal need for a scapegoat. There's a political need. But it's like, as you were saying, it's like when you have all of these, I was hearing that there was some senator that was talking about the floods, and that they were saying, like, they have tried again and again to propose legislation that would help with the flooding. And every time they've brought this forward, the Republicans turn it down.
At the session we just had, was HB 13, specifically to that. It was voted down. They said it was too expensive. And now, or it's not it's necessary, and it would have saved if it's incalculable, or it makes no sense to me, none. But I'm with you. I hear what you're saying. But you made such a good point about the scapegoats through history. What we're just repeating history over and over again, and that's why we want to come forward and asking people, to come to the Capitol, just become your authentic self. Or, as you mentioned, I'm a member of St. Andrews. I passed by a church and it had a trans flag. I didn't think God wanted me back, and I passed by a church every single day going to work, had the trans flag, and I walked in, and they actually meant it. They said, everybody is welcome. They were teaching me about a carpenter that built a table where everybody was welcome, but with a sense of saying everyone is welcome.
Morgan, can you tell us a little bit? I'm sorry. Morgan,
I'm
can
sorry,
you tell us a little more about St. Andrews? Because it has remarkable history in this community. Jim Rigby is an iconic minister that has won. Can you just tell us a little bit about the things that St. Andrews has accomplished and what you've done?
Oh, it is amazing that this is a church I would pass every day and walk in. And the first sermon I heard Dr. Rigby's speech was on, he was going to San Francisco with Trans Heartline, organization in San Francisco specifically for trans persons that are going through the procedures. But the work before that, he's been at the forefront of, he's called in recently with water break rights. He went to Washington, civil rights. There's a family currently living at the church, a sanctuary family. So they have a food pantry every other week that feeds almost 1,000 people every other week in the neighborhood. They have a social justice committee, not only to trans rights, and Jim donated his own money to get this started. And it's having to do with human rights. What's going on locally right now, especially locally immigration, at bringing in people who will literally walk around and say, okay, how do we keep our parishioners safe during the food pantry? How do we keep people safe and fed? That was one of the biggest fears, is that when people get nervous, they stop coming out, families are not getting fed. And that's really their push, with the Beatitudes of saying, feed the hungry, house the poor. We're all at the same table. And, but I do have so when I talked to Jim, he asked how I came to be at the church, and I said, well, I saw your trans flag and I thought you might be friendly. And he was I'd really put him on a pedestal, and I think I called him sir about 500 times. And so he looks at me and he's like, well, I hate to tell you this, and I'm so sorry, this is embarrassing. He told me it was the flag of Uruguay. I believed him. I gobsmacked, but it was perfect, y'all, because I had him on such a pedestal that I couldn't. And so it was like, it was like, oh, you're a human being. And it was funny. Well, I asked him if I could have my tithes back, and he said no. He's like, no, not today, Satan. But he invited recently, one of the nicest things they did personally for me, well, all the things, they kept me going. I had a fire at my house, and they literally clothed me. But I wasn't allowed to be baptized. The Presbyterian church was, and they said, nope, you're going to be baptized. And
Wow.
So they baptized me recently. And
Oh, congratulations.
thank you so very much. I didn't, because I just thought through all the church and I've been through, that God didn't want me. And then somebody said, nope, that's not God. And so
Well,
everybody
I recently talked to one of your members in the congregation, and he was so proud of that act. In fact, he said that really brought the church together, your baptism. So it was something that St. Andrews as a community just embraced totally.
They're so kind, and it was really sweet. Jim, one of the kids, as you know, he asked me how I wanted to do it. I said, well, how do you do it? Like a water gun? Do you like put hand on, and I did, and so it was really sweet. And he said, well, how would you like me to do it? I said, well, one of the kids that I'd worked with was always shocked when people I'm a big hugger, and said big hugs, and that said, being trans, like, did they know? And I said, no, they know. And I said, well, Jim, it would mean a whole lot to me. Could the potter on my head, like as a minister touching me. And not only that, and so as he was baptizing me, he kept his hand on my forehead and throughout the ceremony. And I'll never forget it. I'm going to cry. I'll never forget it as we let go, because I just started crying. And at the very end just went, Viva Uruguay. So that's it. So when anything good happens, we'll always say Viva Uruguay. So now y'all are in on it when something good happens.
You're talking, reflecting on I guess the concept of the welcoming congregation, right? And
Oh,
you saw a welcoming flag that let you know or let you hope that this is is this a safe space, right?
exactly. Golly,
Yeah,
exactly.
there's so many intersections, right? And there's like, as far as in all the intersections of people and cultures and disability, there's something called universal design, which I think may have been created in Copenhagen or somewhere around there, which is basically is instead of stairs, there is gradual ramps, but it's what's
Yes.
good for people with disabilities, mobility impairments is good for pretty much for everyone. It's just,
Yes.
it's an ease of access. And we're talking about a spiritual, a physical ease, a welcoming, right?
But too, they have the playground that they have is disability certified. And so the little ones and the big kids, and I love what you just said, that everybody's welcome.
Right.
Everybody can be a child.
Morgan, you're involved in so many projects. Can you also tell us about your work with the LGBTQ Commission, what you do there?
Yeah.
I've been so blessed that because one of the first things they said, well, how do I get involved? What do I do? I had a story to tell and desperately wanted people to know what was happening. I said, okay, here's what you do: volunteer for everything. And I did. And that's how I got to meet these amazing people. One of the pieces that I'm on with the city of Austin, the LGBTQI plus Quality of Life Commission, also on the Human Rights Commission, and the LGBTQI plus Commission was instrumental in helping Cheetah Vella's office and these amazing people get the Trans Sanctuary City Pass, which was incredible, but also they're incredible. And right now working on getting a meeting place and to getting together. And it's going pretty good as far as working with the different entities. And so that's a big push for safe spaces. I love what you said about safe spaces. And I get to work with the Human Rights Campaign at the Capitol. And then it's interesting. Also, one of the neat things to be on the board of the Kind Clinic, medicine. Because golly, somebody said something recently that our community has always had to build our own infrastructures, that we've survived the pandemic so well because we've had to have our own medicine. We've had to have our own community, our own food sources. We've just automatically, we've just done it for each other. Because we couldn't depend on. And so, let's see what else. The Kind Clinic working with getting the medical care as well, sexual health, web. That's such an incredible. I mean, one of the things that are coming through the legislatures for the special session is access, as you all know, access to women's health care, specifically getting medicine out of state or traveling out of state and making it a crime. And so it's fascinating to me, the intersectionality of all of our groups, and that it all comes together. The immigration pieces of keeping our people safe and keeping them fed, to women's health, to disability rights, it's all of our communities. And the big broad picture, I think, I'm very blessed to be a board member of the Austin Gay Men's Chorus, especially since I can't sing. And so true story, they're very kind. But that's what I tell everybody. Please volunteer for everything. Because the neat thing is you not only get to meet everybody. And right now, I think something I'm really excited about, in the next 2 weeks, they're having a worldwide conference is going to come into Austin. It's the Lesbian and Gay Police Officers Association. And everybody's got some hurt feelings. I get everybody's feelings and I honor everyone. But one of the pieces to this, it's from our community, from around the world, and from certain parts of the world where being gay is a death sentence. And so bringing them into the fold, especially those people serving for us on the front lines, of saying, I understand we have problems, boy howdy, but I also understand protecting the people in our community that are serving on the front line. But there's going to be a worldwide conference. It's going to be the first week of August.
Wow.
Beautifully so. Matthew Shepard's parents will be there. And
Wow.
so please look it up. Please look it up, because also, you know, I was very fortunate that I walked into a church that was affirming. I walked into and I met Governor Sparkle, and I met people who just embraced and just said, come on, I know you're hurting. Come on. I want that for those people to come here with us and say, come on, just come with us, and to feel that love here.
Morgan, one of the other things you're doing, I just want to make sure everybody is aware of it. You're going to be speaking at the Existence Becomes Resistance Insurgency celebration on August 25th at Ground Floor Theater, 7 p.m. And that's
Very
going to be
excited.
another opportunity to meet with our community and our allies and to grow together. And we're going to
Please.
have a number of people there. So we urge everyone who's watching this, please come to that event. August 25th, Ground Floor Theater. Lots of information on my website, and we're going to get more out. Susie, I think you're going to have our last question. We're getting kind of close to time.
Yeah. So Morgan, it's been such a delight getting to know you a little bit. And I just, one of the question I was going to ask is essentially during these soul sucking times, how do you take care of yourself? How do what are things that, do you have a practice, or, how do you take care of yourself? And then to extend that, how would you, so I see that you're recommending to people to volunteer to do everything, to embrace this wide family that is there if you ask, right? If you show up. But yeah, so what do you do for yourself, and what else would you recommend for other people?
Well, that is a great question. For me, I'm when I volunteer for the things, most recently I was at Peace Park Pride. For me personally, what fills my cup is tonight, and every day making a point to just check in, and it fills my cup, because when I see everyone, I'm a hugger. So when we see each other in person, please know I'm gonna give you a big hug. But because it's like a dad hug, it's saying, you are safe with me. You're 100% safe with me. But that fills my cup, because I joke, not joke, it's not a funny joke, but a lot of us don't have that. And so it really does fill my cup. And when I go out and see people, I'm like, hey, it's affirming. Also, I tell you, when you're at the Capitol, it makes them crazy, because we're so excited to see each other. It's like, Governor Sparkle, oh my God, it is true and it's authentic. And that gets them every time. You can see their faces. They don't understand that kind of love. What fills my cup is love. What fills my cup is community and family.
Yeah.
I know that it's not quite for everybody, because it does, I'm in a very particular space. That's what gives me hope. Like talking to y'all tonight is so wonderful to meet you. And affirming on the 25th is bringing our community together. It fills my cup. I was at the Butch prom last Friday at the Vortex. It was packed.
It sounds
Our
fun.
community knows how to have joy.
Right.
They cannot steal our joy.
Right.
So that's why being in community is so special. But I'm sorry, a long answer to say, being with community and building community. I truly believe we're going to build a table
that.
where everybody is welcome, but we need everybody's help.
Public.
Morgan, thank you so much. You have been a wonderful first guest. We are
I
going
love
to,
y'all.
anyway, thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording and be just one moment, and then we can chit chat. Morgan, you were fantastic.
I love y'all. Are kind to me. Thank you so much for your kindness and for
You're
spreading
so,
love.
the way you present